Okay, welcome back. It's time for another project. Let's see, this project, as far as a word, is going to be about a 2 to a 3. I'll explain why in a little bit. But you say, Tom, what in the heck have you done? It's a mess. Well, my dryer went out. Essentially, long story short, it burned up. Literally.
Smokin'!
Which is also a good reason to always be around when your washer, dryer, and dishwasher are running. This thing burned up the main control board, and I mean, it stunk. Had I not been at home, it could have caught fire. And I just happened to be testing it because the wife said it was making a funny noise, and when I came in and tested it, it burned up. I mean, nasty. It took me a week to get the smell out from the plastic that had burned. And as you can see, there's not a lot of room. This is my back bathroom where the washer and dryer are, sink, and you saw the toilet, and the toilet's right down there. I have to take the toilet out because when I got the new washer dryer, which I'm hooking up now, I took the pedestals. Uh-oh, someone's texting me. But I took the pedestals. You have to lie this down, put the pedestals on. Now, this is something that you generally need help with because that washer is 240 pounds. So I got my son to come over yesterday. We moved everything out and placed the pedestals under there, leveled things up. The problem is, with the dryer preceding this, it's always been a mess as far as trying to get this thing vented. Say hello to the toilet. This mess right here. Now this is the more firm of the tubing that you can get, which is okay. But the issue is, because I have no space back here, I have to pull one or the other out. And if I pull it out this far, I have to remove the toilet. If I don't pull it out that far, if I pull it out just far enough to get behind it, I have to have a stool or something on both sides to climb over this. I'm too old, I'm too fat for this. Now, also, what you don't see are bifold doors. So I decided to get the MagVent. I saw this online and I thought this was a pretty good idea. And let me, I don't have the box, but I'll show you the outside label. MagVent. There are several different types. They call one the 90 and one the 180, and I have the 180. Let me show you why. So you see the way my dryer is. Let's go to the rear. It does not vent directly out the rear. It vents through the side of the house, which makes it particularly difficult. Now, the diameter of these exhaust pipes is about 4 inches. So I decided to try the MagVent. Now, I've already mounted the bracket because the MagVent snaps into that. And when I show you that piece, the corresponding piece here attaches to the back of the dryer. That is a magnet. So when you, what the heck was that? That's interesting. I saw a flash there on the screen. That magnet, when you push this back, will attach to the other magnet, and you can easily pull it apart. Now, one person suggested having a string around this and tie it off, say back here on the cord, the power cord, and then you can pull it and undo the magnet. But all you have to do is pull it forward and it'll come off. Now, this has a little bit of stretch to it, and it's not particularly difficult to put in, but measurements are everything. The old carpenter's adage, measure twice, cut once. And like I say, mine does not go straight out the back because on the other side of this wall are going to be my electrical panels. Now, it just happened to work out that you see my plug down there for the dryer. That is the MagVent. And where you saw that bracket, it snaps in here and snaps in here. Now typically you might want to run it that way. Or you could run it that way. Or you can run it that way. I mean, you could run it up, because I know there are some places, like in a basement, that you do have to run it up. But in my case, I have to run it this way to match my particular situation. Now, I got a couple of elbows, and I have a piece of the 4-inch, 2-foot long sections. And when I put all this together, interestingly enough, the only cutting I had to do with a pair of tin snips was to trim this area down here that goes in the bottom here. I mean, I did not plan that. You can see the magnet there. There's the magnet. So I'm going to put this together and show you what it looks like when it's completed. Oh, let me show you outside, what I have on the outside as far as the vent is concerned, how to keep pests and stuff out. I've had one of these for about 20 years, and I just recently replaced it. I'm not sure if I put that video out or whether it was one of the videos that I accidentally erased off my SD card. But what it does is, you can pop the top off here, but when the dryer kicks on, that opens up and all the air comes out the bottom. But when the dryer's turned off, it seals. Pretty neat little device. Now, to make it seal a little bit better, I use some door seal right here to make a nice soft seal. But I've got to get that in there. And there's a, right there you can see a bit of a raised area. That's how far the duct pipe has to go. Oh, this Heartland, and I got it off Amazon. Don't remember the price on this. Now here's the bracket. Let's see if I get some better lighting there. And you see where the screws are? They have those plastic inserts that you can use a drill to screw in. And there's a wing on each side, and that's how it snaps in. Relative cost of this was about 70 bucks. Got it on Amazon also. You could order it from Lowe's, but it has to be delivered to Lowe's, so it might take a couple of weeks. It was just easy to get it in 2 days from Amazon. And like I say, you see how close my plug is. Now I've got to clean this mess up, and I'm going to go ahead and assemble this and show you what it looks like. This will be the finished product. Now, around each of the joints, I'm going to use the silver dryer vent tape. So I'll have, let's see, one joint here, one joint there. The nice thing about these adjustable 90-degree elbows, very adjustable, so I can turn it different ways and different angles to compensate for things like this. Now you notice this is going to be further than 4 inches from my wall, but I can't help that. Why? Because this is in a corner and there were studs, and that's where they drilled the hole. But now I'll be able to push and pull on the dryer and not have all that snake of aluminum tubing back here, which had a tendency to get crimped. Let me show you something else. Okay, so outside, again, you can see that is pushed where it should be, up close to that rise. Now, because the old siding is at an angle, I'm going to have a gap here. It didn't matter with the last methodology I used. It was more flexible. So if I push this way to secure it, that's going to slide that way and leave a gap. And I thought about maybe a set screw or something underneath, but then that's a problem. I got to figure out a better way to secure this, because anytime I have to take this off, it's going to jiggle things inside, and it's going to be a booger to put it back on, because nothing is really secured inside other than the mag vent itself. So I got to think about this for a minute. So what I'm going to use is my Dum Dum, and I'll show you that. I think I put that video online where I used my Dum Dum or butyl rubber to work with my doorbell. I had the Ring doorbell. Let me go around front and show you. So on the old doorbell, I couldn't find a wedge that matched the number of degrees that the siding was. So if you look in here, that is the 3M strip caulk, and they spell it C-A-L-K, and that's the butyl rubber. Comes in strips. Now, if you look closely, that looks like a plastic adapter, but it's not. Now, it can be removed very carefully because this is Masonite, but you can remove it if you have to. But I pressed that into place, and it looks almost like the adapter. So I'm going to do the same thing on the back side of that vent, which also seals out the water because that Masonite has been cut through, and you don't want water leaking there and run out the Masonite. Remember this? So that's the part that I had stuck through the wall. And that was just a piece of aluminum flashing that I had put together with some duct tape. And you can see I used duct tape. I did not use the proper tape that I should have. And on here, and there was the adapter that fit on the back of the dryer. Oh, one other thing about this dryer. When I said make sure that you measure twice and cut once, well, again, this dryer is about 15.5 inches above the ground, so you have to measure for that. And the exhaust is from the left going to the right 14.5 inches this way, so it's actually off center. Most dryers are anywhere from 27 to 28 inches wide. This one is 27, so you know that would be a totally different measurement if it was in the center. Take half of that. Well, it was 14.5 inches to the center to here, so I had to compensate for that. But once again, I am able to get the receptacle plugged in. If I had gone this way, I would not be able to get the plug in. It'd be very difficult, so that's why I went down. But honestly, I think this works better anyway, because everything's going down and out, and that's reasonably level, so therefore everything's going to be vented that way. So I'm ready for the test run. I made a little bolster, a little wedge of some old styrofoam that I had. It was about 1 3/4 inches thick, and that's just to keep things from bouncing around. Yep. Everything is taped, and again I taped number 1 to keep things from slipping apart and leakage. So I'm going to push the dryer back. I wish I had enough room to show you how this connects as I'm pushing it back, but I do not have enough room. But I'll show you the after effect or the final result. Not much to see here, but you're going to hear this magnet pop as it catches when I push this in. So I've centered this up a little bit, and I'm very delicately push it back. It'll take a minute. As I get close, it has a bit of leeway too if you're off center. There you go. Now, I'm going to get behind this thing real quick. I'm going to get on my stool and look and make sure everything secured itself all the way around. So give me a second, then I'll be able to show you what it looks like from the backside. I'll try not to make you dizzy, but I got to stick my head under this Rubbermaid shelving. Okay, now if you look down, and there we go. Everything is secure. Pretty neat little device. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull this out, plug it in, and center everything. Again, why do I have to center everything? Well, let me crawl out of here. Because I have limited space. And, you know, why did I put the two in the center? Why not leave them where they're at? Put the bifold doors on. You lose about that much space. And you have to be able to do this. Open your doors. So generally I can get it most of the way out with the bifold doors on. Personally, I don't think they needed, but I couldn't convince my wife of that. Uh, what else? That's about it. I have to put the drawers back in there, make sure everything's level, which it should be, but I'll double check the level. And I think it's a pretty neat little device. It just, one-man show, takes me 3 times as long. But I think it's a great little device, especially for the purposes of what I've had with this tight space. So let me finish this project up, and through the magic of the internet, I've been trying to finish this up. So this should be the last of the video. But I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but the pedestals that I had for 15 years do not match the new washer and dryer. They're actually smaller, so I found out. Rather than spend $259 each, I decided to put the old pedestals underneath, but I came up with an issue where there are going to be some gaps in here. If I take this drawer and I push it all the way in, what would happen is it would go in some 6 inches this way. I didn't like that. The one over here was a little bit less. So again, if you look at the perspective, that's not bad. If you look at it that way, that's not bad. When you get down here, you'll see how much of a gap there is from here back. Let me get a side view. See, it doesn't quite match up. So I decided to pull it out a little bit and make some stops. And I'll show you what I did. So let me shed some light on the subject. As you can see, the drawer is pulled out. So where did I put the stops? Right here, out of sight. So what I did is, you see the screw right there? See that screw? I pulled that out, drilled a hole in the cap, stuck it into the pecs, and then screwed it back in. So let me show you my little stop. So forgive the laundry. Here were some 1/2 inch pecs that I had, and of course it just happened to be the right color. And I cut it to size, depending on how far out I wanted each of those particular drawers. I took a plastic PEX cap, which these are mostly for testing, and I drilled a hole in it just wide enough to permit the screw to go through. I then placed it in here and went through there and stuck it there. So again, the decision I had was, how far out do I want to stick the drawers? Well, again, too far out, and what would happen is, if I left it out, if I went this way, and you can see how the drawer sticks out, that's normally how it sticks out. And if I did it here, what would happen is, that looks great, that's the way it's done at the store, but when you come walking up from the top, you can see a huge gap. You see that area. Hold on, let's get some more light. So from a distance, you can see the gap in there. That's why I decided to push it in this way, push it in that way. Now, of course, this washer and dryer, the washer is a little closer to me than the dryer is. That's why it seems uneven. Then you don't have as large a gap. Not that anyone really looks, but I figured that was the best way to do it, at least aesthetically. Well, that's how I did it. Just made some stops, and I hope this works for you. It certainly worked for me. Just stuff I had left over. Thanks again.
Back to work, everybody. Work, 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 work.